Hey y'all, remember when Keyshia Cole revealed that Tupac had personally told her on the day he died that he was planning to leave death row and sign with Quincy Jones?
Yeah, I actually did know him, and he wanted to sign me to Quincy when he was with Kadada, Quincy Jones' daughter, and he was gonna leave death row and go to sign with Quincy, and he wanted me to go over there because he said that death row is not the place for kids. You know what I'm saying? That's what he was saying. So, but just unfortunately, on our way to Vegas when we went that time, um, he didn't come back from that.
And take her with him? Well, Keyshia is being called out by people like Suge Knight for lying because, apparently, there is no way Tupac was telling her about plans like that, especially since Keyshia was only 13 or 14 at.
The reason why I know it not to be true is that Keyshia get a lot of pressure. What I mean by that, when people go talk to a senior, Mr. Potato Head, Mr. Steve Harvey, when they go talk to Steve Harvey, he tell them don't mention me, mention this person, mention that person. But I feel I knew Pac better than anyone knew Pac. That's how tight our bond was. And shit, at that time, 90% of the time, we together. And if he had a conversation with somebody on a one-on-one, I would know.
At the time. In fact, Keyshia is also being called out for hanging out with Tupac's rivals and betraying him. Like, if Keyshia was as close to Tupac as she claimed, there's no way she would run and do a song with Diddy and hang around Bad Boy, knowing everything Diddy did to Tupac. So why would Keyshia lie about Tupac telling her about death row, only to go ahead and straight up betray him afterward? Just for a bit of background, apparently, Keyshia didn't always aspire to be a singer. Before learning she was great at it, she wrote and performed raps as a kid. Then one of her friends encouraged her to sing and she started getting serious about it at age 9 or 10. Her determination led her to meet MC Hammer at age 12, hoping he would help her with her music. MC Hammer was the one who introduced her to Suge Knight and the team at Death Row Records. At the time when Keyshia was hanging around the team, they were working together on Tupac's All Eyes on Me album. This meant that Keyshia was also hanging around Tupac, and according to her, they were so close that he told her about his plans to leave death row and sign with Quincy Jones. Of course, we know that Quincy Jones and Tupac didn't start off on the right note because Tupac had publicly criticized Quincy in an interview where he spoke about Quincy's interracial relationships and having mixed-race children. At the time, Kid Ada Jones's sister, Rashida Jones, slammed Tupac in an article, calling his moral compass into question and criticizing him for lacking respect for her dad. Then Kid Ada Jones and Tupac met months later at a nightclub. Tupac, believing Kid Ada was Rashida, approached her to apologize for his previous comments about their father. In a rather unexpected turn of events, they fell in love. Unsurprisingly, Quincy was skeptical about the relationship at first, but he eventually accepted it and ended up becoming very close to Tupac. So much so that Keyshia claimed Tupac was preparing to move forward with him in his career. This claim by Keyshia happened during a conversation with Fat Joe, where she opened up about the night Tupac.
Yeah, I actually did know him, and he wanted to sign me to Quincy when he was with Kadada, Quincy Jones' daughter, and he was gonna leave death row and go to sign with Quincy, and he wanted me to go over there because he said that death row is not the place for kids. You know what I'm saying? That's what he was saying. So but just unfortunately on our way to Vegas when we went that time, he didn't come back from that.
Died. According to what she said, Tupac told her he was about to leave death row and would sign with Quincy Jones. Apparently, he even tried to convince Keyshia to sign with Quincy because death row wasn't a place for kids. Keyshia also said that she was 15 at the time and Tupac died when she was 16. She recalled that around her birthday she received earrings in the mail from Death Row Records. She also mentioned that on the night Tupac died, her mother had to go pick her and her brother up from Suge's house because a lot was going on that night. For reference, her brother and Tupac used to rap together in the Outlaws, so they were pretty tight. She also remembered that they all drove to Vegas from LA. Tupac was in the car with Kid Ada, while Suge and her brother were in another car and she and the others were in a separate car. Then she reflected on how they were just kids at the time and noted that Tupac didn't like the situation, as there was a lot of drama surrounding that period. In addition, Keyshia also said that Tupac was going to do a song with her the night he got shot in Vegas. She mentioned that it felt weird because that night when he told her he wanted to work with her once they got back to LA, it seemed like he knew he wouldn't make it. She recalled that he gave her a lot of advice, telling her not to worry about things because she was going to be a huge star and that she was a beautiful person. He also warned her that while men would want to love her because of her beauty, it could also be a reason they might hurt her. According to Keyshia, Tupac advised her to stay focused and always read because knowledge was something that could never be taken.
He ain't told us. Everybody's close to Pac when he died. Everybody. That's all you hear in me. I respect Pac. That's what people do. But Keyshia went up. Pac went to a, what? How old was she? 12, 13-year-old?
Right.
And he let her hear some shit. Really got him hurt. You wasn't just gonna walk and just say anything in front of anybody. Especially something I'm finna leave Suge in front of a 12, 13-year-old.
In a way. She remembered asking him why he was talking that way, but she never got a straight answer from Tupac. Well, Tupac didn't make it, but let's just say that quite a number of people have been calling BS on Keyshia over the years. Like Danny Boy, who said that there was no way Tupac was talking to some 13 or 14-year-old about his plans to leave death row. In addition, Danny Boy also said that Tupac wouldn't have gone to Quincy Jones because Quincy had never been involved in the rap game. According to Danny, it wouldn't have made sense for Tupac to even entertain the thought. He did, however, confirm Tupac's love for Kid Ada and said he was convinced they would one day get married. But Tupac allegedly telling Keyshia that he wanted to leave death row? He was like, nah, that did not happen. There was no way he was telling Keyshia at her age about something that could have gotten him hurt. Other people also said that, given the history Tupac had with Quincy and the rumors that were already circulating, there was no way he would have signed with Quincy. The thing is, there was an interview back.
Now, I don't know if you remember this. We asked Mo Preem Shakur, about this audio. I don't know if you ever heard this audio a long time ago with Tupac. I can't find it nowhere now. Where he was pretty much saying, I don't know if it was Davis or one of those guys.
It was, Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones, right?
Oh, yeah.
Quincy Jones wanted to, he offered to uncensored over here. You ever hear anything about that?
Well, that was the reason that Tupac met Kadada.
Right.
One of the daughters took offense to it.
Yeah.
And was mad about that. His other daughter. And Pac went to apologize for saying that to him. And he didn't realize that it wasn't Kadada. It was another daughter that had responded to him about that. And Pac went to man up and apologized for making that statement about Quincy. Now Quincy was there. Quincy, Will and Tevin Campbell and all of that, for people that's not from the 90s, those allegations was out there about Quincy.
Yeah.
They've been out there.
Back in the day where Tupac supposedly said that Quincy Jones asked him to hook up with him. But the problem is, if you search the internet, you won't find that audio anywhere. It was completely wiped. Even though the interview was erased from the internet, several people confirmed that it existed, like Death Row bodyguard Reggie Wright Jr., who spoke about the deleted audio of Tupac saying Quincy Jones wanted to have relations with him on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. Some people also said they had heard enough about Quincy to know that he was capable of asking Tupac to hook up with him. For instance, there was a time when Johnny Mac talked about a party he attended hosted by Quincy on Foxhole Radio. He said he met Quincy and Quincy asked him to come into a room with him. People kept asking him to elaborate further on the show, but he said he didn't want to talk about it anymore. The rumor was so hot back in the day that Quincy was even asked.
When Tupac came to Hollywood, it was the homosexual ritual. This is where the homosexuals came out against it, but I didn't mind. I wasn't talking about homosexuals. I'm saying there's a homosexual ritual that they go through in the Illuminati secret societies, and it is. So when I mentioned that about it marrying itself on to hip-hop, they said, well, can you prove it? Yeah. Go back and go online and read where Tupac said he was asked by Quincy Jones to when Tupac said no, that's when Tupac was marked for death. Why? Because Tupac was engaged to Quincy Jones's daughter. Quincy Jones's daughter was best friend was Aaliyah. Aaliyah was engaged to Dame Dash. Now, if y'all follow these
telling Keyshia at her age about something that could have gotten him hurt. Other people also said that, given the history Tupac had with Quincy and the rumors that were already circulating, there was no way he would have signed with Quincy. The thing is, there was an interview back in the day where Tupac supposedly said that Quincy Jones asked him to hook up with him. But the problem is, if you search the internet, you won't find that audio anywhere. It was completely wiped. Even though the interview was erased from the internet, several people confirmed that it existed, like Death Row bodyguard Reggie Wright Jr., who spoke about the deleted audio of Tupac saying Quincy Jones wanted to have relations with him on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. Some people also said they had heard enough about Quincy to know that he was capable of asking Tupac to hook up with him. For instance, there was a time when Johnny Mac talked about a party he attended hosted by Quincy on Foxhole Radio. He said he met Quincy and Quincy asked him to come into a room with him. People kept asking him to elaborate further on the show, but he said he didn't want to talk about it anymore. You know, the rumor was so hot back in the day that Quincy was even asked in a New York Times interview whether he had anything to do with Tupac's death because Tupac allegedly refused to sleep with him. Quincy responded, "Man, this is the biggest age of haters I have ever seen in my life. I've been called a blonde lover, gay, everything. I don't care, man. Imagine my daughter being engaged to Tupac and me trying to make love to him. And I'm not into no men, man. I'm a hardcore lesbian, are you kidding? All my life, all my life." Anyway, enough about what Quincy did or didn't do. What I'm trying to say is that a lot of people believe that because Quincy allegedly tried to hook up with Tupac, there was no way Tupac was signing with him. Plus, Quincy Jones was pretty catty, as we found out in the GQ Vulture interviews from a few years back. As for whether Tupac ever told Keyshia about leaving Death Row, Suge Knight said that he was closer to Tupac than anyone else during his last days. If Tupac was having any conversations of that sort with someone, he would have known. He also said that Tupac wasn't trapped at Death Row. If he wanted to leave, he was free to do so. Now, what do you think? Did Tupac actually tell Keyshia about his plans to leave Death Row, or did she exaggerate their relationship? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below.